never been done before.
We the people tell the government what to do. It doesn't tell us. We the people are the driver. The government is the car. And we decide where it should go and by what route to do. We the people are free. And I hope we have once again reminded people that man is not free unless government is limited.
Well, good evening, folks. How are you? I hope you're doing very well. And your, what is it today? Tuesday is kicking along and the week hasn't been too taxing on you so far. Well, if the week hasn't been taxing, the government's certainly been thinking about it for you, I can tell you. We'll get into that very, very shortly. There are a couple of things I want to take notice of or just point out before we kick into tonight's show. The first one are these X39 patches. If you are unaware of the X39 patch, then you haven't been watching this show for very long. And you can get those patches from the link that is going across the bottom of your screen right now. Recently, I had the opportunity to share a couple of these patches with one of you, a mate of mine called Tim, who doesn't live too far from here. Really nice bloke, but he's been having back issues. He's a former arborist and landscaper. So, you know, man, though I think whole family were in the forest industry for many, many years. So he's done a bit of damage to his back. He's got a bit of arthritis and a few other bits and pieces, and he's been a bit off his feet, so to speak. I shared a couple of these patches with him over the weekend. We caught up for a bit of a chat, and he rang me yesterday just to say, cannot believe the effect these patches have had on me. And he almost to a point where he's feeling he can go and do a lot more work than he has been able to do of recent. You know, instead of working maybe 5 days a week, he's down to one, so or sometimes none. So he's feeling stronger, better, and overall slept pretty well too. He was having a few issues with sleep, and that sorted that out. So can I just tell you, it doesn't work for everyone. I've given, I don't know how many of these patches out now, probably, I don't know, close to 1,000 probably. And I would say of 1,000 patches I've handed out, usually in groups of 2 or 4 to people, 98, 99% of people feel a direct benefit from them because they're not taking anything else or doing anything else for it at the time. That's the best way to try this. And even if you are on very strong meds, we've got evidence that, you know, cut back on those meds for a night or 2 nights, halve them if you're taking those methadone pills, what is it called? Morphine pills, like Carol was. And voila, she was doing a jig, something she hadn't been able to do, at least without the aid of alcohol, for 30 plus years. So they are really beneficial, and I just love hearing the stories where they work. So if you've got those stories to tell folks, I'd love you to share them with me at carl@vofhq.com. They really do cheer me up endlessly. And if you've got a video you'd like to make, you can load that up at contrib.vofhq.com as well. And if you want to buy some of those patches, you can do so without having to sign up to anything. You don't have to, you know, agree to be a part of any selling operation if you don't want to. There is a way for you to make money out of the patches if that's what you so choose to do. But up to you. There are quite a few people who are making a little bit, well, I'm making a little bit of money out of it. It keeps us going. It pays the occasional bill most months. So that's really beneficial, and it could help you that little bit too. So if that's the way you feel you can operate, only if these are of benefit to you. If they weren't working, I wouldn't be telling you. I wear them, you know, neck pain, shoulder pain, back pain, knee pain, hip pain, gone. It's ridiculous. Dwayne, who you've met once or twice on the property, he fell over recently, whacked his hip. One of those patches, the pain, not only the pain was greatly relieved, wasn't completely gone, but the pain was greatly relieved, but the swelling and the bruising was almost non-existent. And for a little bloke, or a little skinny bloke with him with just a bony bum, He was expecting to go black, and it didn't happen. So there are many, many benefits to many, many people. Nearly knocked the phone off the table. And sometimes it doesn't work for people. But I'm very happy to share. And I think I owe a few people a couple of patches who've written to me. And if that is the case, I'm sorry I've lost you in the email. So send them to me again and I'll send you some patches. You might also be able to afford your own if you've got yourself a ticket in this lottery. Now, I think we're into number 3 or number 4. I can't remember. There are about 300 sold. So there's 450 tickets left for sale. They are only $2 a ticket. You can buy a maximum of 20 tickets in any one lottery per person. And we would love to be able to give you $750. Phil was one of the last people. I think he was the last person who won. And of course, the beneficiaries in some manner, small, not, well, it's not small, but it's not large. It's not the hugest amount, but it will be if we can get more people buying tickets in the lottery, because we're just going to keep feeding money to the donkey sanctuary as long as we possibly can, because funnily enough, with the donkeys, they require a bit of feeding. So if you would like to help, we would love to help you win $750. You can only, as they used to say in the classics, be in it to win it. And you can get a ticket through our merch site at merch.vofhq.com and click on the $750 sanctuary link there, and you will find an easy way for you to pick up your tickets. Can't thank you enough for your involvement in that. There's probably other things I can talk about, but I think I've raved on enough just to beginning. I may get to it afterwards. Right now, there are significant things happening in Australia in a number of different ways. Tax and some of the implications going forward on seniors are going to be quite significant. Yesterday, the Treasury, the Australian Treasury, that is, accidentally, and we say accidentally, released a document that is a report recommending the government raise taxes and slash spending if they ever want to consider balancing a budget. I know in certain areas that also reflected terribly badly on the government's promise to build 1.5 million homes in 5 years. I think Albo had, what are we now, 3.5, 4 years into whatever he's been doing. And they have built very few homes. And the homes they have built have cost a bloody fortune. And who's going to get them? Well, if it's anything like what's happening in Victoria, any new immigrant who steps off a plane and walks into Victoria is being handed, by the sound of it, a 2-bedroom apartment somewhere that's just been built brand new. And never mind the Aussies who are living homeless on the streets you've got to walk past to get to and from the building. Don't worry about that. The new imports who've come in off the plane, no problems, brand new seat for them. Anyway, I'm getting a little distracted. So there is going to be a lot of tax implications for a number of things that have been put forward in the last couple of days. And to help me try and sort out a little bit of that is a lady who's been out dancing with monkeys in the jungle all day, Kath Smith. How are you, Kath?
Hey, how are you? No, I'm giving up running in jungles barefoot. I've learnt my lesson, Carl.
Yes, for those who maybe don't follow you on Facebook, would you like to just tell people what's happened?
Yeah, and I can also give a plug for the X39 patches because, so anyway, I've been learning to walk barefoot, grounding, and I'm getting really good at it. When I was in Australia, I used to walk like for an hour in the morning barefoot. For the first few weeks, it was like, ow, 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 ow. But now I can walk the whole hour barefoot, no problem. And so when I went to Bali, where I still am, I just really wanted to work barefoot. And I was in a beautiful jungle with waterfalls and just a whole lot of beautiful stuff. So I ran through the jungle barefoot and I climbed the waterfalls barefoot and I went through the forest barefoot and I did all sorts of things barefoot. And now I have some sort of flesh-eating skin disease. That has ended up with me in medical emergency situation, and I'm on antibiotics and wonderful ivermectin, and a million other things. Don't start suggesting things, because I've had a million things suggested, and I've tried so many, and massive vitamin C, and you wouldn't believe all the stuff I'm doing. But also I threw on an X39 patch yesterday. I don't know if it's helping with the leg, because that's a different issue, but I also threw one on my hip, which I've got some chronic problems with, and it really, really, really helped. But anyway, I will keep walking barefoot, just maybe not in foreign countries.
So you said a flesh-eating thing. Now, it's not like a bot fly or something that nestles inside
It seems
your
like it. Like there can be little, according to Google anyway, there's little flesh-eating things that can burrow under the skin, and they're like in Bali and places like that. And it just seems like, it actually feels like there was something under the skin just like munching away. And I've got photos of it, and it was growing at about 2 millimeters an hour in size. The cut was just going grow, and the flesh around was turning black. Yeah, it was pretty scary. So yeah, like I know we all believe in alternative therapies, and I certainly do as well. And I'm on every alternative therapy you can imagine, because I really like my legs and I don't want to lose them. And but occasionally there is a time for antibiotics. And the good thing about being very, very healthy and not relying on other medicines is that I must take antibiotics like once every 5 years, like if that. So when I really, really, really need it, it works. So I'm really happy that the antibiotics have kicked in, or maybe it's the ivermectin, I don't know. But everything that I'm trying has kicked in, and the skin has stopped turning black.
Oh, well, that's a great sign. As long as the skin stops turning black. I think they say the same thing about frostbite, don't they? Yeah. Oh, wow.
Anyway,
okay. Well,
we're here tonight to talk about tax.
Well, exactly. And there are some really interesting implications mooted in this leaked report, if you like. They're saying it's leaked. Well, it wasn't leaked. The Treasury released it. A lot of it was redacted, but unfortunately they didn't redact enough. They left all the headlines and the subheadings on the document. They just didn't sort of fill in the detail, but that gave everybody enough detail. And the ABC, when asked by the Treasury to destroy the document, said no.
Yeah,
the people have a right to know. First, congratulations to the ABC for standing up. Well done. So tell us, Cass, what are some of the things that Treasury is suggesting, and why are they suggesting these radical actions?
Well, firstly, when was the first time we trusted the ABC to do the right thing?
Yeah, very true.
So the fact that they said no to the government probably means the government maybe wanted that report out there.
Yeah.
Because, and then this brings a whole, like, we won't go into the digital ID at this stage, but the government kept carrying on that, digital ID, everything's safe in the digital world, but the government can't control its own bloody leaks. I mean, it's just ridiculous. So whether they put this report out there or not, we will never know. But some of its implications, I think more the implications are being in what is not said, because it's got out there, everyone can see it, but the government are covering it up and if you've watched any of the news reports, the Treasurer Chalmers is just saying, oh yeah, no, well, it's not important. It's like, well, we all knew about this and it's all okay. They're just downplaying all of the evidence and all of the criteria that's in there. They're downplaying it and making, oh yeah, doesn't matter, who cares, it's just, blah, 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 which we'll talk about the detail of later. But the one thing that on all of, today I went through all of the different media releases on, well, what does this mean? And all of them are talking about the GST rises and the taxes on the super and the capital gains and all the things that we all know about. What they're not talking about is that document also contained the government wargaming horror stories on what would happen in a global financial crisis. What would happen if the US dollar collapsed? What would happen if we lost confidence in the US system? What would happen? None of the media is talking about that. They're just like, oh, let's talk about this, so that nobody thinks about this. So the fact that our government is wargaming horror stories about the upcoming financial collapse that I've spoken about for the last 3 years. And people have bagged me out because it hasn't happened yet. But I keep saying it's coming, it's coming, it's coming. I don't know when. I mean, some dates are 2040 before the whole world collapses.
Yeah.
I don't know. But all I'm saying is that it is coming because the world and the financial system and everything that we see around us, it's not sustainable. So the government was actually wargaming scenarios about what happens in the event of a financial collapse. But all of that was redacted. The press only got to see the heading. What is in everything that's been redacted? What are they actually planning in the event of the eventual financial global crisis? It's very interesting, Carl.
Donald Trump has been questioned publicly in the last 24 hours or so. This week is crypto week in the United States. How interesting that Bitcoin has gone to 123,000 US, I think, today. May have dropped back a little bit. Silver was nearly at $60 last night. Let me just have a quick look here at Ainsley Bullion, and at the moment it's 58.46. That's gone up. Well, it was at $59.38, I think, yesterday evening when I went to bed. I woke up this morning, it was $58.30. It's gone up 16 cents in the last hour and a half, because that's what it was earlier. So silver is on the rise. Gold has risen, but only a little bit by comparison. And Donald Trump has come out and blatantly told the American people through the mainstream media that the American dollar is under crisis. BRICS was set up to bring down the US dollar, which is what we've been saying since BRICS was set up. And prior to BRICS being set up was how we were saying what needed to happen. There needed to be an alternative. There needed to be a way to do this. And China had been positioning to use the yuan, and Russia, of course, wanted to use the ruble. And we all laughed. Well, we didn't laugh, but many people laughed at the mere thought of that 3 years ago, Cass, didn't they?
Yeah. I don't think we're laughing anymore because we're getting closer and closer to what I have said is coming for so long. And yeah, Carl, you mentioned the price of silver and the price of gold. And I've actually been bagged out. For those that I actually made the cooker watch. For those that don't know, there's some people that watch the cookers. And even though I'm a credible financial professional with 30 years experience, 16 years at university, countless degrees, and I won't even go into all of that, I made the cooker watch because I was saying 3 years ago that the financial system is going to collapse and everybody's going to lose everything. And they're saying that I'm a cooker for saying that. But my clients have made 150% on gold and about 60% on silver if they listened to me 3 years ago. So yeah, okay, the crash hasn't come, but my clients have been very happy with the results. But the most important
so would most of the people who watch this show for the last 3 years, because I started getting my gold and silver advice about the same time I met you, and we met Ainsley Bullion. So for folks who've been watching the show that long, and if you've taken that advice, 60% you said silver?
Yeah, on silver, and 100. I think it was 148% or something on gold since I first started saying get gold, get gold, get gold, get silver, get silver, get silver. So yeah, some clients are just overwhelmingly happy with me, the ones that started way back when I first started saying it. And something like I always pride myself on, I don't make any money out of telling you to buy gold and silver. I'm also on my Facebook, I'm very, very vocal about Bikram yoga. I don't make any money out of telling you to go to Bikram yoga. I actually just tell people things that work for me. And gold and silver has worked for me, and a lot of my clients don't make any money out of it, but it's still something that we really should be talking about. But let's get on to that. Let's go back onto this article, Carl, and what it actually means for Australians.
Yep, for sure. So the government needs to balance a budget. The government have proven, at least this one, to be a god-awful investor, and their ability to plan seems to be non-existent. Why would the people leave or trust their money in super or anything else to do with government to these people?
Yeah, it's gobsmacking, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I actually used to I used to watch the budget every year. I still try to, because there is so much in the words that are said that are not in what media then report. So I like listening to it. And I had my 12-year-old child, my youngest, actually watch the budget with me. And he actually described it. I said, "What does this mean, buddy?" And he said, "Well, the government's setting a budget just like you set one for the household mum. You have the money coming in and then the money coming out, and it's got to equal because otherwise it's not sustainable." He didn't use those words, but very similar. And I mean, a 12-year-old saying that, I'm just like, wow, buddy, where'd you get that from? Obviously me. But anyway, so the government is meant to set a budget that balances the incomings and the outgoings. And I have spoken about this before. I actually read through the budget reports. I can't remember exactly what year it was. It was at the end of the COVID era, and I downloaded a few 100-page report, and I read. It was all numbers. Like, I'm an accountant, 30 years experience as accountant, and a forensic fraud analysis investigator.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I read through those pages one by one, looking at all the different lines, going, okay. And in a budget, income equals expenses. So I got to the end of it going, well, okay, where's all the income? Where's all the expenses? And then what I realized that on the expenses is that there was a whole lot of lines like COVID, marketing, NFP. There was even a monkey virus, NFP, war in Ukraine, donations, NFP. What the is NFP? And I worked it out. It was not for public release. So the budget actually means nothing, because you cannot analyse the incomes and the outgoings, because everything that they don't want to tell you just goes NFP. Ridiculous. But Chalmers himself, on now that this report has come out, which is basically you can sum it up to say the budget is a load of crap, because there's not enough incoming revenue because they need to increase taxes, and they're spending too much. So the budget is crap, is basically what this report says. Chalmers, this is his quote: "We'd rather have a big, ambitious, difficult target and work around the clock to meet it than continue the approach of our predecessors, which was to build too few homes." What? I mean, when you said, let's say I do business plans for clients for their businesses, and I've always done business plans, and yeah, you do want to set a big, ambitious business plan and hope that you're going to meet it. This is the Australian government setting a budget for the... He said, Chalmers, "We'd rather have a big, ambitious, difficult target and work around the clock to meet it, knowing that we can't." Like, what?
That's ridiculous. And the Treasury document apparently alludes to the fact that that particular promise, I think it was 1.5 million homes inside 5 years, was never going to be met, given their current spending and the money coming in.
And for those of us that know homelessness in Australia at the moment, it's going through the roof. I haven't got the exact statistics in front of me, but we're at a record high homelessness rate right through every state of Australia, including the Gold Coast, including everywhere. And
thank God the Supreme Court in Queensland, at least, has ended the Moreton Bay Council's campaign of evicting people from the parks, from the public parks. The Supreme Court has said they can't do that any further. I'm sure the council will be appealing, but no more excavators rolling through there, or the Gold Coast parks that have got folks who are living homeless. That isn't the case, as I mentioned at the start of the show, for a number of new arrivals in Australia being handed the keys to brand new units in Melbourne. But let's be honest, it's Melbourne. Who the hell would really want to go and live there if you had a choice to go anywhere else? I'm not dissing people in Melbourne. I grew up as a Victorian. I just can't abide the people who seem to be running the place. Ashu wanted to ask a question about gold and silver, and I know it's sort of in, sort of off, and it's going to lead to what I want to ask next about sovereign wealth and what that means regarding assets. So if we had $50,000 And we don't give advice. We're not telling you what you should do or how you should spend your money or anything else. But if I had $50,000, and Cass, you tell me if I'd be right in doing this. If I had $50,000, I would probably spend $20,000 on gold and $30,000 on silver. And I'd go to Ainsley Bullion to do it. Would that be wise, or should I spend $50,000 on gold, or $40,000 on gold and $10,000 on silver?
Look, you really, because once again, as you said, Carl, no one can give advice on gold and silver, not even Ainsley Bullion. So it's all personal opinion. And then that's very difficult for someone who doesn't know anything about this. But I have been investing in and watching gold and silver for, since 2010. So that's a long time.
Sure.
15 years. And my advice is that gold is a very fundamental asset, a stable asset. If you look at its price fluctuations over the years, it sort of goes up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, but generally up. And if you look at the comparison of gold to Australian property and Australian shares, gold is outperformed. So gold is a very stable asset. Like, people think that's strange for me to say that, but it is actually very stable, more stable than the share market. Silver, on the other hand, tends to go flatline, flatline, flatland, boom, drop, flatline, boom, drop, flatline, boom, drop. So there can be a lot to be made on silver if you pick your timing right, if you're at the flatline about to boom or up starting to boom. So I always, like, once again, just my personal opinion, but I was always about like 80% gold, 20% silver. But then over the more recent, like 4 or 5 years, it is quite clear. And the experts on this are Ainsley Bullion, and they do fantastic podcasts and newsletters and information.
Yep.
But lately, what they've been saying is that gold has been going up, 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 and silver should be following gold in like a nice tangent, but it's not. Silver's been flatlining still. So when this happens in the past, silver will do a massive catch up. And that's what we are starting to see. And so as a result, once again, my personal opinion is that I really reweighted my portfolio to 50-50, 50% gold, 50% silver.
Right. Okay.
And maybe just like 5% into crypto, or 10% if you're really a good gambler. But yeah, so yeah, that's where I see gold and silver.
All right. Well, Ashu, I hope that helps you. And Ainsley Bullion in Brisbane or Melbourne, or go to ainsleyBullion.com.au. And don't forget to mention my name or the Voice of Freedom, and you'll get yourself a little bit of a discount. And if you're spending $50K, that might mean you get another ounce of silver or something. I don't know. Yeah, we'll see how it works out for you. And best of luck. So, Cass, sovereign wealth, that really is what we're talking about, gold and silver. Now, the government can't necessarily take gold and silver that you hold in your hand, but if your sovereign wealth or your own personal wealth that happens to be invested in a super fund, which was the reason we last had you on the show to chat, because super funds don't collapse, but oops, one did. How is what the Albanese government's report from Treasury going to affect our sovereign wealth, our gold and silver?
That's a two-edged question. Firstly, what that report is showing is that government is coming clear for more taxes, more regulation, and we'll talk about the seniors a bit later, but they're coming for more taxes. So when it comes to superannuation, they've already introduced the $3 million tax, or they're trying to, it's still not through, the over $3 million tax, the tax on unrealised gains. What's next? They are coming with more and more taxes, more and more regulation against superannuation. And then, and it's not related, it's separate, but it's another example of what's going on in the world at the moment, is that super funds are collapsing. So people who have their super in superannuation funds, we're looking at getting more and more taxes, more and more regulations, and then super funds collapsing. So what we've been suggesting for a very long time is that people put their superannuation by way into an SMSF and into gold and silver. I have to be really careful about what I say, as I always do, as in the government are, on one hand, as I said right in the beginning, the government are wargaming, brainstorming, situations where the whole world economy has collapsed. They're brainstorming that. So
Yeah.
maybe we should be as well.
Yeah.
So
And do you trust the government to do the right thing by you or the right thing by the government?
exactly. So with SMSF, you can actually, I say this, and I'm just going to pick up one of the coins on my table here, put in the camera. So that's a gold coin. You can take your superannuation out of the online system where you can't see it, it means nothing, and have it in your own hands, buried under your own bed or in your own garden or in a vault or with Ainsley Bullion or stored securely, however you choose. But then you have it in your hand so that when, and I'm going to say when, because it's only a matter of when the system collapses, your super is now in your hand, not in an online system, and that's where we're leading to. And I can't say it enough times that if you have super sitting in these systems that are collapsing, these systems that the government are brainstorming wartime scenarios for, like, you're mad, get it into something hard and physical.
I was going to ask about property, but as it turns out, that'll lead into something we're going to talk a little bit about later with the seniors. But you've always said property wasn't a bad investment going forward. Do you see that as a realistic thing going forward in the short to medium term?
Okay, so those that haven't heard me on this topic before, I am a licensed real estate agent and I am a licensed property advisor. And the last probably 20 years of my career was helping people buy investment properties. And I built myself up to a portfolio of 10 properties, which is what I always wanted. That was my goal. And I did it a few times before and then lost it all in bankruptcies and divorces and things. But I built it all up again. I had 10 properties and in COVID. And I sold all of them and I put it all into gold and silver, all of it. So the reason why is that my personal opinion is that I don't believe property is safe. Yes, I could be wrong. We do still have the pressure of the immigration coming in, putting an upward pressure on our prices and not enough properties being built as per this leak. But on the other hand, I'm talking to people on the street, the real life situation where the rates and land taxes increases that there are being levied. People are just getting bills in the mail and their bills have doubled from the year before. And the insurance increases because of the natural disasters, because of climate change. The insurance premiums are going through the roof. Everything is going through the roof. And people are just saying to me, I can't afford to keep my property because of the rates and the land taxes. So I am, as we move into sovereign wealth and being self-sufficient and looking after yourself, I don't like an asset class, which is property, where there are so many things out of your control. The rates, the land taxes, the insurances, the body corporate, they're outside your control, which will undermine your investment. If all of a sudden, and people in Victoria are saying this, that the rates and the land taxes are just making all the rent that they're getting on their investment property is totally gone in, and interest rates, of course. All the rent has gone in interest rates, land taxes and insurance, and they are going backwards at a rate of knots, and they can't afford to keep their property anymore. When everybody starts listing their property for sale because they can't afford it, what do we get? Crash. Anyway, that's once again just my opinion, but that is why I sold my entire investment portfolio and put it in gold and silver.
Platinum's also not a bad buy at this point in time, I believe. And given what I've been watching on the ainsleyBullion.com.au website with its price, it's only been going up and it's been making significant increases on almost a daily basis. So something else to be considered. Regarding tax, I've seen an uptake in stories around Australia regarding younger folk who are making pretty good money. And some of those, I guess, are OnlyFans workers who are making 6 figures a month. But even people who are working in normal, let's call them regular jobs, putting and doing their own tax. If you're one to go and do that sort of thing, you've, I think, had a couple of months to start lodging it. So a lot of people get in early, they do their own tax, and they think, okay, right, I'm going to get a refund. I'm going to get this, I'm going to get that. And then all of a sudden they're getting tax bills for $3,500, $4,000, $9,000. One woman's got one for $18,000. Another one's got one for nearly $40,000. Now, she's, knows she makes a good living and whatnot, but she wasn't expecting a tax bill of $40,000. Is the government taking a sterner look at us, or are they is it just a money grab?
No, that's the way it always has been. I think there's just more media spotlight on it now. And there is no solution to that other than people to speak to a tax agent, accountant earlier on in the year, like rather than wait till you lodge your tax return and get a surprise, particularly if you've set up a business, so the OnlyFans and all the other businesses that are out there. Don't just go and earn a whole lot of money thinking that it's all going to be okay and then see an accountant a year later. Like, see an accountant straight away so that they can talk to you about your tax bill and put aside enough so that you don't get that big shock horror. So when you think about it, like if you're on a wage, your employer takes tax every week. So if you're on a $100,000 wage, I don't know the exact figures, but your employer is probably going to take about $35,000 a year out of your wage. But when you lodge your tax return, you've got that credit, so you don't get a bill. That's how it works. But if you go and set up a business and you're earning $100,000, and you think, yeah, great, I'm earning $100,000, everything's great. You're not paying any tax when you're earning that business income. And so then when you go to lodge your tax return, you've earned $100,000, the government wants $35,000.
Yeah.
If you were on wages, you would have been paying that every single week, fortnight, month. Because you're in a business, you haven't paid anything, now you've got a big bill. It's a problem. It always has been a problem. Just get advice a lot sooner about that rather than whinging about it in retrospect, I guess.
What wants to know, does swapping metals incur a tax burden?
Swapping metals, as in if you sell gold.
If you were swapping, as it was pointed out, Mary Jane is in the chat tonight, so she pointed out something that Ainsley said the other day, that people are stocking up on silver now to buy gold. They'll use it and swap it to buy gold. So I'm guessing that's what that's referring to.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you do sell metals to buy another metal, yes, it will attract tax on the gain. But I've always said, it's one thing I remember from my degree back when I was 20, is that you don't do things just for a tax purpose. So if you've made a profit and you want to sell and get that profit, you don't not do it just because of the tax. You do it anyway. And capital gains is actually the best tax regime there is, because there's a whole lot of exemptions and things you can do to minimize that gain. So if you want to sell your silver to buy gold when the time is right, once again, I say, just get advice before you go and do it, because there are so many things we can do to help you minimize that gain at the time.
Don't buy, I guess that's meant to be silver or gold on a register. What does that mean?
I think they're talking about if you go and buy gold and silver under $5,000, it's not on the register. But I've never subscribed to that view. Okay, if you're just buying small amounts, fair enough. But mainly our SMSF clients, they're buying hundreds of thousands. It's on the register. You can't get around it. There's no problem with that. It's like buying a property. Everything's on the register. But yeah, if you're doing small quantities, by all means, do under 5,000 and try and keep it off the government register.
Yeah, but like you say, in a time where the government looks like it has its eyes on your super, and there's certainly movement already for the folks who've got higher holdings in their super, and ostensibly seen as the rich people, but soon enough, the rich people, either through political pressure or other ways, will make sure that burden is spread deeper down the superannuation scale, and it will eventually wind up affecting everybody, in my opinion. Is that wrong? Am I way off base there? Do you think the government can be trusted to just keep it to the rich people?
Yeah, I've just got a message on my machine to say that something's in my machine and is going to restart it in 4 minutes. So anyway, I can't seem to stop it. But I'll answer your question, and then we'll just see what happens in 4 minutes and 27 seconds, according to this countdown.
Thieves?
It's counting me down. I feel like I'm going to explode.
Wow.
So anyway, the $3 million tax, yeah, it is an issue because like $3 million, and I've said this myself, like if you've got more than $3 million in your super, well then good on you, because most people don't. Maybe you need to pay a little bit of tax. But the problem with the $3 million threshold is that it's called not indexed. So $3 million seems like a lot right now, but is $3 million going to be a lot in 20 years? Mm-mm. So, yeah, so that's how they're going to slowly, from now it's targeting the rich, but over time it will target everybody, and that is quite scary. And the other one they brought in about tax on unrealised gains, which is, really, really devastating for some super funds that have got big assets that have got gains sitting there. And okay, it's only super funds for now, but what if they roll that out across other tax systems? So there's scary things happening in the background of the tax system. And what we've decided, now that I've on a 3-minute countdown now, is that every week we're going to talk about these issues, because I have got over 30 years experience in tax, 35 years, I think. I've got a master's degree in taxation. I spent 11 years with the tax department, and I've got a lot of inside knowledge. So I feel it's my role at the moment to be analysing what they're doing in all of these tax grabs and government policies to try and get to us so that we can, I don't know, hopefully maybe find a way around it, out of it. Yeah.
Okay, so before you go very quickly, how long have we got left?
2 minutes and 35 seconds.
The government have released a report on seniors that sounds very dramatic. If you are planning on retiring, if you are going into aged care, if you use medication, you need hospitalisation, there are going to be some huge changes made starting very soon. And you haven't had time to really analyse all this yet, have you?
And this affects everybody, not just the seniors, because even people at my age, I've got seniors, I've got my parents. This affects everybody. It is absolutely insane. I just watched a 15-minute video on it today, and I was literally gobsmacked, just going, oh my God, this is actually the biggest change to anything I've seen in the Australian government ever. So I didn't want to talk about it tonight because I just haven't had my time to get my head around it. What these people were saying on the video was just like unbelievable. So I want to do a whole lot of research to make sure that it is actually true what they were saying. And we need to talk about that next week, because it affects everybody. Everybody in their 50s, 60s thinking about retirement. Everybody who's got elderly parents that are over 60. I mean, just quickly, one of the things they said is that from age 67, you will need a financial planner and a psychologist to agree that you can take your super out.
Wow.
Like what?
Wow.
You need a mental
If that's
health
not incentive.
You need a mental health assessment to make sure you know what you're doing if you want to take your super out. So let's talk about this, Carl, next week, because I will be on fire with that one. It is insane what they are planning for our seniors, which is all of us in the future, and our parents.
That is frightening. All right, we'll talk about that next week. Maybe this time next week, next Monday, if you're available.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. How long we got left?
Today's Tuesday, isn't it?
Today's Tuesday. I beg your pardon. Next Tuesday, then.
It's Tuesday. I've got 25 seconds left. I don't know what's going to happen because, like, this just popped up.
No, I think we should just keep hanging for the last 15 seconds or so to find out what's going on. People, if you want more information, freedomffs.com.au. If you have big money or money in super and you'd like to get it out and put it into something that you control, then go there. Mary Jane and the team can look after you, and they're great. Here we go. What's going to happen? That looks like it's. Thank you, and good night from Cass. By the look of it, she's all gone. Thank you, folks, for the comments that are in there tonight. Jody Lowe has made a comment. Jody, why are you using Freemason witchery words? You appear not to be a stupid man, but why would you phrase what you have phrased in the way you have phrased it? Where have I supported the elites? All right? Or have multi-million-dollar super balances? Where have I supported that? And even if I had supported it, what's wrong with people who have worked hard all their lives to establish a decent super balance? And why wouldn't I want them to be concerned about theirs being $3 million or mine being less than 30, not million, just 1,000? Why wouldn't I be concerned? Because if the government will pinch somebody who's got $3 million worth of super, they'll come and pinch mine. So it's not anything to do with supporting the elites. And you've just given me a whole range of reasons why I might take an interest in you now, because that way you phrase that is exactly the way a Freemason phrases shit. They accuse you of things. They paraphrase what you say, or they simply do not understand it. You don't appear to be a stupid man. Please don't exercise your stupidity publicly. Very annoying. Thank you. I'll end you there. You can feel free to stay in the room, up to you, but I just don't see your point. Nobody is supporting the elites. And even if I were, I would be supporting the people who worked their ass off to get where they're going, who've been successful in business, who've employed others, and preferably haven't involved themselves in satanic ritual, child abuse, or anything else that we go against. But I understand there are elites. Now, if you can't identify the elites that we are talking about versus people who've worked hard for money, you've got no business being where you are doing what you're doing. You know the elites. You used to work for them. So don't start trying to... And you've tried it a few times, and I'd usually just ignore you, but you're starting to give me the shits. So don't bother. All right. All MPs and senators have probably sent their assets overseas to tax havens. You couldn't be probably more right about that, I would suggest. There'll be a whole heap of crap things that they've been sending over. The elephant in the room is Trump bringing down the Fed. Yes, that is. But is it the elephant in the room? There are more moves today. Trump's talking crypto up in a huge way. He is trying to rebuild faith in the American dollar, particularly for Americans, but generally in the world. Is that going to work? I guess it remains to be seen, but it will be an interesting battle over the coming days, and we're going to see a lot of it in the precious metals markets. So once again, I would advise, my advice is always, get a little bit of it. Get whatever you can afford of it. If you can share a little bit of that knowledge with others, then you're only going to help them. That's what this is about. It's not about supporting the elites. I mean, next thing, no, I'm not even going to bring that up. I'm just having a bit of a scan down here. Thanks, Crunch. Well, see, Jody, you're getting the idea. If you're reading the comments, you don't get a lot of support for what you say. And thank you, Crunch. We're going to catch up shortly, dude. So I'm looking forward to that conversation. Yeah, a lot of interest. So I don't know. Sometimes you give these people oxygen, it's not worth it. Speaking of oxygen, there are many things you need to be aware of. One of the most damaging things coming up in the next few days, folks, is the fact that this bastard Australian government, this fraudulent foreign power that exists in our nation, will agree to the WHO taking over basically everything to do with our healthcare in the event of a pandemic coming our way. Now, it's pretty horrifying. We thought we'd made it pretty clear to the government, I don't know how many times, quite a few times, that the Australian people did not want to be part of this in any way, shape or form. However, the government, in their infinite Albanese wisdom, God help them, have decided that we should very definitely be part of all of that, but in a watered down version. Now, that watered-down version turns out to be not nearly as watered down as it once was. And if we agree to this, or at least we don't signal our disagreement with it and our ability to reject it, which we do have, before the 19th of this month, then all is lost. Here is a link that I'm posting into the chat right now. This link is going to take you to the Aligned Council of Australia Action 1 website. Now, if I can, let me just see if I can bring that up somewhere here. Pretty sure I've got it on a screen. Now, what this is going to do is give you a little bit of an idea of, that's Action 2. So I must have Action 1 floating around here somewhere. That's not Action 1. There we go. That's Action 1. Let me find it. So I can share this with you, hopefully. There. Okay, this is a petition that you can sign. It's going to Mark Butler, and you just hit the Learn More button there, and you will get a bit of an idea on the letter. Well, I can show you, I think, the letter if I find the right screen. Well, actually, let's just click the Learn More button. So the Honourable Mark Butler, I'll try and shrink that down a bit so we can all read it. There's just over 44,000 signatures. That means there's been 2,500 signatures today on it alone. We need you folks to sign this. Go here and get a hold of this letter. It's very easy to sign, just your name, your email address, and God knows if you're willing to sign whatever documents to send to the government, you may as well put your name on this one, because at least this one may have a benefit for us. It may not have a direct benefit immediately for us, but in theory, I think, at least in a court case going forward, it might have a very significant benefit. So that is Action 1, and I do have an Action 2 thing that I'll post up for you as well. Oh, bloody screens. Let's copy and paste that. Typical bloke, can't do more than one thing at a time. And I'll post that into the chat so you can go to Action 2. Now, if you go to our website, folks, you will see that there is, at the very top of it, vofhq.com, you will see that there is a great video from Dr. John Campbell, who's interviewed a gentleman by the name of James Roguski. Now, James has written a very, very interesting Substack about this WHO and all the WHO amendments that we will be aligned with if we allow the Australian government to sign us up to this god-awful treaty on the 19th of July. Now, if you go to vofhq.com, you will be able to watch that interview, and I can also post you, in fact, I'll do that as well. I'll post you the Substack address in the chat to James Roguski, or Roguski, I'm not quite sure how you say it, and you can have a bit of a read there. There are 24 reasons why this must be rejected. There are, I think, 8 countries who have another 8 months longer than we do. New Zealand is one of them, funnily enough. They rejected the offer out of hand first time and rejected the shortening of the period by 8 months for decisions to be made on it. So the Australian government didn't reject that. No, we'll dive in boots and all on the 19th of June. That's exactly what they're going to do, the bastards. Do what you can to stop that. Also, if you want to get a bit of an idea of what Cass and I were talking about just prior to her being cut off, the seniors issues going forward are going to be extremely significant for people my age or anybody in their 50s. You're going to have to deal with this sooner rather than later. If you want to know what I'm talking about, I'm just posting that video up now. Vince may or may not have it up on the VOFHQ website just yet. If it is, it'll be above the Dr. John Campbell one. But if you click on those links, I urge you to watch that today. I urge you to share it far and wide with anybody your age. This is no conspiracy theory here, folks. This is a plan they have going forward, and it will horrify you It will absolutely horrify you. When I sent this to Cass today and said, can you have a listen to this and see if you're as worried about it as I am? She came back and used the words gobsmacked, horrendous. We must, fight this. So it is a very, very significant video. Go and have a look at that. The last one I just posted up in the chat there, and yeah, we'll see what we can do, because we're going to need to fight that as well in a very, very significant way. What else did I have to talk to you about this evening? Have I mentioned the lottery? We are, let me see, how many tickets are we away from? We're still a bit under 450 tickets away from being able to make another draw. $750 in your kick, and a lot of the other side of the money goes to the Donkey Sanctuary. It helps us keep the Voice of Freedom going. One of those bills that I have to pay, and I'm still fighting with Telstra over my iPad and a variety of other issues. One of those is a $350 bill I get a month every month just to keep the telecommunications alive here. So any little bit you can do to help us helps keep us on the air, keeps us trying to give you the information, and gives you the ability to reach out if you need help. And, we do connect people who can help if you need it. And I'll do everything I can to help. That's what I'm here for, I think. So, and I can't thank enough of you who help us. And when I say us, I mean we have a very small Voice of Freedom family, Vince and I. It's basically Vince and I. Well, it's probably more me than Vince too, if I'm honest. But I like to think of Vince as very much part of the family. And if Vince needs help, he gets help. Thankfully, Vince is very rarely in need of help. He's not terribly well at the moment, though. He's been coughing and spluttering. The whole family have caught colds. So if he's been a bit vacant here, it's probably in part because of that. And he's been working some very long hours for my place, who are restructuring and doing a few internal changes with the Unity Hub. If you're not part of that yet, get a hold of it. There is a wealth of information being shared in there, and a whole heap of different the links, put them in the comments later. Thank you, anyway, whole heap of information. What else did I have to mention to you tonight? I don't think I've got too many videos tonight. In fact, I don't think I've got any videos tonight now that I mention it. Well, let's face it. We're getting towards the end of the night. I probably can't play you this whole thing. It'll copyright me. I was going to play you a bit of George Carlin. In fact, I was going to play you 4 minutes of George Carlin. I might have to go and cut that up and play it to you in segments so I don't get banned. If you'd like to help us out at vofhq.com, you'll find a donate button, or better still, we would love you to become a member. You can do so for as little as $2.50 a month, I think it is. So if you can help out, that would be awesome. If you can help the Donkey Sanctuary and us out at the same time, you can just go and buy a lottery ticket at merch.vofhq.com and click on the link that says 750 Sanctuary Lottery. And Godspeed, good luck to you. I hope you can take out the win, and the money is helps you out in a time where you greatly need it. Maybe you need to pay your car registration. There'll be news on car registration for those of you that pay it in the not too distant future. And I'll tell you a little story about a recent... No, well, I think I may have already told the story, but we'll reshare the story. A very interesting issue with car registration that I've been through recently. Confusing, should I say. At least that day, I wasn't the only dickhead on the road. And there's something to be said for that. Be safe. See you tomorrow.
You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up. Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life. It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line. That's why we're going back. Does anybody else want to stay? Let's ride!